Sir, come quick. What is it, Jeff? Your last video, people actually watched it. But there was only one half of the first round. Well, hot damn. People seem to like this tournament format. Looks like we're keeping it. Special thanks to Kichi FIM, Brony Book, DeWilstonator, Jesus, you Yanks have some silly names, Voice of Reason, Manga Common, Keyframe, Eliora, and Toon Critic. I sure hope we're not forgetting anyone. Yes, Jeff, I sure hope you're not either. It's time we announce who's moving on to the next round, so we can get to this week's contest for the second half of the opening stanza. All smacked the dog fuck out of Bag of Vicodin, all did. Classy as always, Jeff. All boxed his ears, all did. Took the Equestria Daily's representative of an SS Daily and put him on the mat. Are you quite done yet? Hey, Bag of Vicodin, don't give up your day job of writing clock fix, eh? Alright, the other winners include Toon Critic over Tyndega. That was a really close race, and in fact, it was decided by less than a dozen votes. Aren't you going to give an exact amount? Nope! That way I don't have to go through and explain every last voter that didn't follow the rules. I'd be here all month. By the way, I think it's really neat that some of you guys put cute little imaginary storylines for the tournament. But can you put your 8 picks at the front of the post? I'm looking at you, Patrick. Believe it or not, this counted, but it doesn't make it any less confusing. Free reminder, if you only voted for one person, you're a bigger loser than Bag of... Ahem! Yes, we're reminding everyone you have to vote on 8 out of the 16 people shown on the video for your vote to count. Usually one of the 2 people in that bracket. This video, not last video or any other video. And yes, we are voting again. A&Y went over Shelly D. Right, you could say Shelly D went on down on A&Y. God damn it, I miss Dulcet Tones. Brony Buck beat Kichi FIM. Special thanks to everyone who went out and promoted us here on Analysis Daily. I was going to, but then they put out that new character on Overwatch they did. DWK went over Lily Pete. I heard DWK wanted out of the tournament, he did. Well, DWK has me on Skype, and there's a comments section. He can learn to be a big boy and speak up. Until then, I'm going to keep on promoting the man. What about old What's-Her-Face? Oh, I think she's off playing the new WoW patch or something. Deckard Spade went over Watchful Pony. I suppose that's relatively fair. Second closest match in the tournament so far. I rather like the competitive bouts to the landslide victories. Keeps me engaged while counting. Miss Anthropony went over Geeky Steven. I don't suppose you put those two against each other because they were both on good stuff. I might have. Geeky, despite coming up short, got a lot of love and has nothing to be ashamed of. Oh, that's right, I think Miss Anthropony promoted the video as well. Nice catch, Jeff. And in a stunning upset, Spirit Productions went over Channel Hopper. I bet you're thrilled about that. Hey, if I rigged this thing, Kichi would have taken Brony. Didn't you vote for Brony? Never let the truth get in the way of a good story. Do not, I repeat, do not vote for any one of these people in the comments section of this video. Please, pretty please. You will have 1 week's time from the release of this video to vote. The close date for this voting will be in the description. I encourage you guys not to just pick your favorites, but the better of the analysis and review. And if they don't, I said encourage again, do not write anyone in. It will not count. Seeing as how we're covering 16 names today and 16 names last week with 32 names, we should have more than enough to give a fair competition. Especially if you're British, ninja. Corpulent Brony versus Fatmanfalling.
Friends, we witnessed Twilight Sparkle taking on the same former dictator unicorn, intent upon revenge by making the fabric of time itself her plaything, while her magic does not avail her. Ultimately, Twilight is able to convince the misguided temporal Zarina that what she is doing will not make her happy. Now, we stumble upon our friends welcoming a new member of their group, the same unicorn with a lust for control, power, and revenge. Together, they journey to the Crystal Empire for some ancient tribal rite of child sacrifice called a crystaling. And this new friend, this starlight glimmer, ultimately is able to bring together the resources that help Twilight save the day.
As soon as I'm done delivering all this exposition, I'm gonna do all these things I just said I was gonna do. But then you get the twist, like, oh no, it's a map episode, and you're like, I wasn't looking forward to either one of those things happening. So your expectations are in this weird place where you're like, your move episode, which is the most exciting place for your expectations to be, because you have a heightened sense of awareness. Heightened enough to notice stuff like this bracket was there before Twilight drew it, or like, did he jump to the other side of this purple pony to pose for this shot?
Keyframe versus Dulcet Tones.
Oh, come on! This is a bigger ripoff than the election.
Alright, so with the season final, I'm assuming that it will be revealed that the Changelings will have been there in the capital. The kingdom? The castle? Whatever you want to call it.
The playset?
You leave the damn fourth wall alone. It's more likely than not, after some well-crafted planning, Queen Hollernhead will blow it again, with something equally contrived or ineffective as the power of love.
Love.
And we're blasting off again, courtesy of Princess McFlurry Heart.
I hear she's delicious. Personally, I prefer Oreos.
Product placement aside, it makes a lot of sense for a return of the bug hybrids. With the introduction of the Guardians of Harmony toy line, we see that even Hasbro has a business-minded fondness for Chrysalis and the Changeling species.
Boo. Any ruler or politician has to have that ability to spin lies as the truth. Considering that they had known about Twilight coming and were there long before, they could have spun together a story before they arrived. I'm not saying your ideas are wrong here. I'm saying that Celestia isn't necessarily right.
Before Season 6, I always assumed that Princess Celestia and Princess Luna came from an ancient Alicorn civilization, some great land outside of Equestria. They definitely seem to have come from somewhere else when they stopped Discord's reign and started their own.
I never really understood your logic on this one. Why is it that Discord had reign first before Celestia and Luna? Discord has been known to change the landscape in an instant. Without the elements of harmony to control him, and knowing that not even Alicorn magic can stop him, he could easily have swept the metaphorical rug out from under the princesses who were already ruling. Their battered and bruised bodies in this scene show only that they went on a grueling journey, likely to gather the elements of harmony in the first place. So no, I can't agree with where you're coming from with this.
Golden Star versus Emerald Comet.
The story from lingering on one sequence for too long, particularly when it's required to repeat itself. After hearing all the versions and finding that none of them add up, Twilight is able to put her logic and intelligence to great use, as she works out that they all have one thing in common that leads to the missing piece of the puzzle. It turns out that every version saw Rarity's batch of cucumber sandwiches fall overboard, attracting the attention of a hungry sea creature that accidentally overturned their boat. Even after watching the episode twice, I can't make up my mind about this development. It just comes completely out of nowhere, and while I can appreciate a surprise ending, there's just something about it that doesn't feel like it was executed that well.
Everything fun they did together. If that isn't a true friend, I don't know what is.
I've stated in the past that I like seeing Celestia portrayed in fanfics because oftentimes writers will show her as a more vulnerable pony with actual weaknesses rather than the amazingly perfect and without flaw being that she's seen as in the show. And while she doesn't appear too much in the story, Penstroke definitely found a way to show her weaker side. She's worried for the fate of her subjects if her suspicions that Nyx will become Nightmare Moon come true. The subsequent talk that she has with Twilight of having to take Nyx away, and her breakdown with Luna where she practically starts crying over her grief of losing her sister for 1,000 years, are well done ways of making Celestia seem more like a three-dimensional character.
The Editor versus Tricky Fox.
A bit because it's boring the hell out of me. The Breezies finally arrive, and compared to the old G1 Breezies, where they just look like they're crossbred ponies with moths, these ones actually look decently designed. Newly designed with authentic body shapes, and not just cut and paste models. Impressive.
Oh, look at the little guys. They're so cute. Oh, I just want to take them home and put them on a shelf with my plushie collection.
Why are you whispering?
If you talk too loud, they might blow off course.
Blow them off blow them off course? How fragile are these wimps?
Relatable? I mean, I destroyed worlds for less than jealousy. Good job there, Moonbird. She also has a rather threatening design and her vocal performance rivals that of Maleficent. Yet no one really talks about Nightmare Moon, only how guilty Moonbird and Sunbird feel about it. Like, really, you did no real harm, get over it already. Your whole character up to this point basically consists of, I pity myself because I gave in to my inner darkness and I don't want it to happen again. Can we get an episode about you that doesn't focus on your anxiety?
Finn the Pony versus Sapphire Heartsong.
The ending all had this restrained feel to them, and it takes a lot of potential away from an otherwise awesome episode. Speaking of the ending, did they really have to resort to the overused trope of sing a song to fix everything? I mean, it's not a bad song per se, nice melody, good singing from Spike, but I just don't think it's a worthwhile conclusion to this story. The fact that everyone just accepts Thorax after the musical number just doesn't make sense in my eyes.
Well, we've been given no solid evidence that this changeling is truly a friendly fellow, but Spike sang his own version of Why Can't We Be Friends, so I guess I'll accept him.
As Starlight's all, hey, 2 of those guys didn't go with the rest. And Thorax figures out what happens and gives Starlight all the credit, even though she didn't actually think of it herself, much to her discomfort. Our B team travels to Act 2, where Discord is forced to do bad stand-up comedy.
When I heard that I'd be playing for a bunch of changelings, I was beside myself. Then I realized it was just one of you.
Dragon Trainer 201 versus Stupid Private.
One of the reasons why many people believe that Celestia and Luna are special compared to Cadence and Twilight is that those two have wavy, sparkly hair and those two do not. It's also one of the reasons why many believe that the 2 royal sisters are natural-born alicorns, that they had to be different because they look different and lived for more than 1,000 years.
Again, Part 1 and 2 is a mixed bag leaning on the good. Many fan-favorite heroes and villains return, and it's Starlight's finest hour. But it has a groaner of an ending, and some plot points don't really hold up when you think about them. So I give My Little Pony to Where and Back Again a 4 out of 5. Okay, spoilers incoming now. The changelings have returned and kidnapped the heroes, the princesses, and Shining Armor. So it's down to Starlight, Trixie, Thorax, and Discord to save the day.
And all they have to do is not kill each other.
But with teamwork and friendship and stuff, our heroes depose Chrysalis, and the changelings go from bitchin' xenomorph forces to some lame sauce next-gen flutter ponies.
Manga Common versus Golden Fox.
Creepy! Essentially, we see Starlight using a combination of spells to control most of the main 6 to make them mind slaves. And oh my Celestia, I just figured out what Starlight has just become. Mentalk the Mind Taker!
Zombie guards! Seize him! Tell me that's not fun to say.
Okay, that's just plain awesome.
Axe arrive dressed up as Vikings from the Middle East. Makes sense, as Twilight prepares a dish based on the yak culture. And things easily backfire.
This no tastes like yak food! Fake pony food make yaks mad!
Okay, this is my first major problem. They act like this whenever something isn't met to their satisfaction, and even worse, they expect perfection. The way they talk also doesn't help as they talk like the Hulk. The main 6 try to do whatever they can to please the yaks, and they become total destructive assholes.
Laura Rose versus Sketchy the Changeling.
This scene right here shows how far she has come from what she learned from Princess Twilight, and she will do the same to teach human Twilight about the magic of friendship along with the human main 6. She explains to them what she learned, and how she knows that she can solve the problem without Princess Twilight, since she has her own problems to solve in Equestria.
And one formula for this one. But then we get that moment where Silver Spoon just shuts Diamond down, and the whole focus of the episode shifts. And it's the type of shift that's done well. It's as though Amy Keating Rogers was like, you thought I was gonna play it safe with this story, but you thought wrong. And the story changes for the better from that point onward. With this being the 3rd musical episode we've gotten so far, I think this one makes better use of its songs. I felt that most of the songs actually helped to move the story along, instead of just being there to fill time.